Hey, well, hello everyone. Nice to see you. Uh, I hope everybody's warm enough. I know I am. Um, oh, bit of leftover greens. Not gonna need those. Uh, so today I have some plums. Um, those of you who are concerned with punctuality will notice I'm on time again this evening. So something must be going back to normal. Once again, it's just me tonight, but I will be momentarily checking the chat. And if anyone has any input or questions or whatever, I will get around to them. Plums are an interesting one because they're very dark. This is only a little canvas here. I've straightened it up, so there might be a bit of wonkiness with ellipses and what have you, but it'll all make sense in the end. And you know what, I'm going to start simple with a little brush. Yeah, I've got some pre-mixed black just left over, and I'm going to pop a bit of red in it. And that's going to be my underpainting colour, which will hopefully come through a little bit. And I'm just going to squint and see this, so I definitely want one there. That's a good place for a plum to go, somewhere around that. Roughly. And then I guess we'll have another one here. And there's just a bit of one in there. That's going to be roughly where my ball goes. Something like that, bit of drawing. Let's put a bit of tone in here. Bit there. Some kind of into where some shadows are going to go. A sort of plum reflection underneath it. A nice gap there. Yeah, a bit more thinners. Now, some generally vague drawing just to get those shapes in. And I've got this sort of nice colour behind. How's that going to line up? I'm going to go through underneath this as well, which means it's going to end up being smaller. A bit of drawing, I think I'm in. It's going to be lower as well. A few negative spaces, keep an eye on those. We go under here. Smudge that around a bit. Oh, I'm already bored. I'm already bored by this. What can I do to make it more interesting? I think a lot of it's going to rely on the shadows. sort of bring it to life. That's not wide enough either. It means the whole lot can move across a little bit. It's going to be somewhere more around here, and then that edge will be over here, and that will be over here somewhere. Face in. Let's clear that out a bit. Do a bit of that. Okay, already getting paint on my thumb. It's getting a bit blurrier here. The reflected bits. Actually, this could be quite nice. It's going to be quite nice and quiet. It's mostly in it's quite a high key painting except for the plums, which are quite heavy and dark. Let's make this suitably blurry until the point where I'm comfortable just sort of putting in some shapes. Right. Oh, I haven't got all my paints ready. That was an oversight. So I hope you can hear me okay. I've got a fan on in the background, I'm afraid. Yeah, I'm going to put out a whole chunk of white here. Oh, goodness, I'm covered in it already. I think I'll have some mixing white as well. And there it is. Cool. So I'm just going to set out some of the core colours, and I'll pop them over here. I'm going to take some of this grey because it's already bluish, and just add as much blue as I need to it. Isn't going to be very much. That's way too much. There you go. And that's all over. A little bit of yellow ochre. Gives it just enough sort of mellow greeniness just to soften that colour down. I do hope you can see that okay. And yeah, there's almost no way of matching that colour in a meaningful way. It'll do as a starting point. Hmm. So subtle and all really pale, with different amounts of sort of yellowness. I'm going to make that a bit grayer and even a little, yeah, a little darker, a little grayer. And I'm going to mix a lightening colour. I'll use a bit of mixing white, a little bit of titanium white, and I'll use some of that yellow ochre. We'll keep it a sort of a soft, warm light. More than that even. Was that too much? We'll find out. That's the colour I'm going to be adding for lightness. It's the colour that's going to be reflecting off the ramekin. That's the word I was looking for. I'm going to make it ever so slightly pinker. Be very careful with that because I don't want to overdo how much colour goes in. That's probably enough. Okay. That's my colour for making things lighter. I can just start slinging this on a bit actually. I'm going to be putting it on really thick. Just to begin with something very dark, we sort of reframe it. So these reflections here, they look very dark, but it's really just a lack of light. That is going to be this sort of colour, which I know doesn't make sense now, but it will. Same with, that's going to have a greeniness in it, but I'll come back to that. Actually, no, maybe I'll put that in the mountain. Could have been greyer, this. Slightly greyer one. How much greyer can we go? That's actually in shadow. That is going to get darker. Even then, it's quite dark compared to the plums. Quite as dark as the plums, but closer to it. And we get to over here. And again, I'm just thinking in simple shapes at the moment. Once that's in, go back to that blue. Think of some of these negative shapes as they go across the top. There's some. And go around, that's going to give me the edge of this ramekin. Ramekin is going to be the word of the day. I'm guessing that's what it is. I think I've got that right. If by any chance I have no idea what a ramekin is and I'm using that word wrong, do let me know. Yeah, so all of this is going to get lighter here. Across there. Okay, If I go across to this light here and work some of that in, make a bit of sense of setting the context for the plum reflections. Now, quite a bit more over there. So it needs some in here. That's going to travel all the way across, actually. A little bit in there. A little bit in here. Oh, it's quite confusing. So yeah, this is a real test, this one. It's really going to force me to sort of figure out what it is I'm looking at. If I got too light too soon, that is quite possible. Also, don't want to be too fussy. I've got this other colour, this greeny colour, which is going to be the same thing. It's going to be yellower. It's got to be lighter as well, but I think I might have overdone it with the lightness of the blue. So let's see how far this goes. Hey. Yeah. So what this is doing is it's putting a layer of paint on that's not that much paint, and I can add to it, subtract from it. I can play with this surface quite comfortably without having to go to great lengths to sort of manage how much paint is there. Yeah, a bit more of that green in the reflection actually, because that is exactly what it's reflecting. There we are. Something like that. A little dash of it in here. Nice. Okay, that's a start. I've got some semblance of drawing in, nothing that can't be changed or updated, but I've got a few basic colours on the palette, all of which are available to change. I'm now quite warm as well. Look that onto there, good. Bit of a wobble. Oh, Hello, M. Uh, good. I'm glad the deliciousness is showing through. There's plenty of colour to add to that. The flavour's going to come from the reds, which aren't anywhere near it yet, but they will be along. And before I get too carried away, I'm going to put a few placeholders in for the lights because it's too early to sort of make a judgment. So I'm going to use this light colour. It's pretty much as bright as it gets anywhere. There are a few specular highlights, but I don't want to worry too much about those. That's going to go in there. This is going to be a bit more shallow than I originally painted it. I'm thinking about the ridges on this this bowl, but I really shouldn't. But I can't help it. It's a feature, so I'm looking for them. What I'm not going to get to let happen is I'll get trapped in them anytime soon. They're just vague shapes. If they let the light shape come in. Wakey. Whoop. How about that? They'll also give me a few reflection colours. Will be in here like this. There's other little variations of them, so they sort of warm up when you get to the rim of it. I've got some orange left over here. I'll make a really light version of that. Use some titanium white. And again, it's just a placeholder, so I'm not absolutely committed to it. It's going to be something a bit like that. That's going to wander around. Said I wouldn't get too fussy about ellipses, and there I am. It doesn't carry on around here, but it does give me this extra bit of the edge in there. Let's take some of that off. I'm inventing a whole new colour here to go in some of these gaps, like there. That's not light enough, or is it? It's sort of got to carry the highlights when they turn up. We've got an orangey shadow colour around here somewhere. Sort of works. Yeah. These lights are too blue. And too light. I'll borrow a little bit of burnt sienna. See if I can warm them up slightly. They travel all the way across to about here. And there's not enough paint on that. I can't just put the shadows over the top, so that should behave itself. Getting a bit clumsy with this now. But I just need those big shapes in to begin with. Don't want anything fussy going on. There's no colours I can't remix at some point. That's in the wrong place. As is that. I'm not wearing gloves at the moment, but I might have to crack them out later. Yes, something around here. I'm really not sure about this, but okay, some funny relationships, and I'm trying to rush through this, so that I should stop doing and wait and find out what it is I can actually see. Take my time with it. There we go. Oh, hang on. No, that's too... Oh, we're sort of finding it now. Well, I've got this orange. I'll mix a bit more of this light colour. Introduce it over here. That's going to go in there. And this shape comes out. I'm not worrying about edges too much. And then that corner will go in. Something like that. It's darker over here. Oh, weirdly it looks lighter there. Okay. Oh, let's slow down, take my time. I think the heat and being in business mode is not good for painting. But there's a form turning up. Ah, well, the brush strokes are delicious. That's good. That's all we can hope for. Speaking of which, I'm going to need to get a few other brushes on the go. A couple of nice, tidy ones. I'm going to need to mix a bit more paint now I know what it is. At the beginning I thought this blue was way too light, but it's not. That's okay. It's doing the job of creating that contrast between the light and the shadow. Looking for this. See, I'm sinking. My head's moving down a little bit. That green isn't in quite the right place, but that'll do for that. Where else can I get some of this blue in? It's a slightly darker, slightly greener version over here. Is that too much? In there. No, that's good. It was too dark before. But that's just right. It's given me that edge there. Use some of the shape of a plum. And that's over. That'll do for over here as well, actually. Needs to be considerably lighter than that bit of shadow. That's okay, which it is. And then it gets darker again behind. Okay, so I've got this little family of colours turning up here. That will go in behind that. Ah, it's way in. And we've got the green version. Just going to go in here. No. Ah, yeah, it works. Now, where else does this happen? A little bit. That's the tiniest bit. In there. Okay, this should actually work as reflections as it goes along. But before I do that, let's put in some core colours for these plums. I started off with that original colour. I'm going to do some more of that. The black originally was mixed with burnt sienna and ultramarine, and I'll do that again. Make some more of that, slightly on the blue side, slightly on the orange side. Yeah. Well, we'll do a bit of both maybe. That's the orange side. Let's do a blue side next to the blue. Grand. Now I want to hold off on going too far with the darks, so I'm going to mix a slightly lighter version. Let's borrow a bit of this to make it a bit lighter, and I'm going to put some alizarin into it just to give it some of that depth. A bit more, I think. There you are. So I've got my purpley dark. Now I can add into that with other colours, a bit of oranginess and what have you. Ooh, gosh, it is toasty, isn't it? There you are. That barely looks different to what I've already got on there, but trust me, it is. Extend that shape a little bit. I'm studying my shapes as I go along, finding one shape and extending out to the next one. Now, I quite like the way that shadow is a sort of a lost edge. Doesn't really know where the plum ends and the shadow begins. Same there. This bit's very dark. I want to keep that hard edge on that. That shape there. It's going to come round, and that is going to give me right, okay, this is where it needs to behave itself. It's going to give me a hard edge to that. And here, not sure about that at all, so I'm going to move it. Nothing we can't put back in with the green afterwards. Purpliness in here and just dab that all in. Same thing over here, I guess. Now they'll all have little reflection colours in them, what have you, but as a placeholder, that's fine. Yeah, okay. Now that needs to lean over further. Sort of pushed up against the edge, it needs to feel like that. Yeah, and again, a kind of a lost edge, so that's going to come in here. Let's go back to my green, if I haven't lost that completely. Right. Is that giving me a contrast? Should it be giving me a contrast? I feel like it should. That needs to come right in. Have I got my blue still? Is this a different brush? Might be the right brush, might be the wrong brush. There's a few things going on here. I think the edge of that ellipse needs to come out again. This is where I wish I had some gloves on. Potential for mess. I'm going to be very careful. Alright, let's go back to this. I have my orangey light. And that extends beyond here. And up. And that's going to be the extent of that brush stroke. This one's going to kind of meet it. Kind of. And that will start to describe. Oh, here's another one with a bit of the blue on it. Get a blade on the edge of the brush and put a bit of that highlight in there. Oh, too soon. No, I think that'll be okay. I can bring that in here. Still not quite right. That's the green. I've lost track of my brushes now. Is that the green? Is that the green? Oh no, that was the green. Right, I like that soft edge. That's good, that's staying. It needs to come in here. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, hard edge there. Yes. Nice. Yeah, back to my creamy orange. And maybe I can sort of make that curve of the I was going to say tureen then. What was it I called it? Ah, I've already forgotten the name of what I called this thing. Well, not a tureen anyway. Okay, back to the red. Now there's a sort of an orangey version, and I've put that next to my previous red. I'll pour a little bit of white. Because this is going into the surface, it's going to mix with the paint that's already there, so it's not like I have to mix exactly the right colour. I just have to push it in that direction. There's a bit around there, that'll do it. It's staying really dark. There's bits where it's going to get bluer, there's bits where it's going to get sort of more violet. It's all in a really dark tonal range, so I don't want to get too carried away. Okay. What's next? I've got some of this greeny colour. Take a bit of that. Let's use this blue actually. That's going to have a reflection quality on here. And on there. Also going to have a bit on here. And up there. What about this? It doesn't know what it's doing. Okay, there's an orange bit, there's a blue bit. Let's go all the way to the blue bit now. There you are, there's that. There's this here. Again, it's mixing on the surface. There's a bit there. Goes full blue at the top, so that's going a bit further. There's a few streaks of it here. There we go, even more blue. Bit of reflection. There we go. It's sort of yielding this weirdly sort of purpley colour. And we're going to go actually a bit more intense with the colour now. Just for the reflection on the underneath. It's going to go there. Oh, and this can have a bit of that as well, but only a bit. What about this? Yeah, it goes full blue over that side, and now we can lighten it. And get away with that on the top. Oh, kind of looks like it, doesn't it? Little reflection bit there. I'm not sure if that's a good shape. A bit more light on here. Bit on that. Ah, yeah. Put a bit of a reflection just in there, just breaking that gap. Then what's it doing? Then it's moving towards this sort of orangey light, which was the original light colour. If I put a bit of that in and spread it out. It will leave a little space for me to put the bright light in the middle afterwards. And the mixing on the surface will allow that to happen. Oh, not sure that's working. Might have to go back in, put a bit more red back in there. What about over here? Tad in that. Have I gone too far? No, I don't think so. Bit of extra colour. Let's put some orange in there. Let's have some orange in there. That's enough for that, actually. That does its job quite nicely. This is fiddling with it. Okay, we'll go back to this red. We'll pop a bit of that back in here. In here. Need a bit in there as well. And while I'm at it, let's get some full-on alizarin and stick a blob up there. Just for that extra bit of colour intensity. Because of the dark tones, you won't read it as clearly, but it will be doing its job. It will be quite helpful. Okay, seem to have a couple of plums there now. I'm going to pop that brush down because I'll probably need it again. And let's get the excess off this and turn this small brush into a dark brush. Let's put some darks in here. Still not dark enough. There we go. Now, where else does this turn up? Sneak a little bit into that plum there. Little shadow bits. Okay, this is starting to appear now. It's a good time to stop, have a little moment, just looking at it. Oh, my contrast is terrible on the image. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, the colours do look subtle, don't they? I think I know what it is. See that? That board behind the panel is white. So, so I've lost my contrast. So let's see if I can fix that up. Let me have a little look at this. Filters. Yeah. Right. Color correction. See if this will do it. Bit more contrast. Bit less gamma. It's kind of a bit closer. Yeah, that's a bit closer to what we're looking at there. We'll leave it at that for the moment. Hopefully we'll get an idea of how that plays out. Obviously it's still bright daylight as well, so for so much of the year 7 o'clock means I'm doing this in the dark. Now it's not the case. Okay, this all needs to move up to sort of that kind of area there, just to get that shape in right. Quite greeny this shadow, but I quite like the way that plays against the redness. So I'm going to keep that. Also make a violet. Not violet. That's too bright. I'm into brush mixes now. Wake up. That violet's going to come in here. Going to come in there. Most interestingly, it's going to appear in the subtleties of this ramekin, that's the word. And it's still in my brain somewhere. Okay, go a little bit bluer over here. A bit of extra blue in there. See how much I can get away with. This sort of travels over. And into that are some orange colours which will turn up in a bit. That's a nice sort of shadow. Give that some purpliness. Make a darker version of that just here. Yeah, does it. It's too dark for my plum reflection. It will work into the surface, so I think I might get away with that just. Carrying just enough colour down. Same thing with this down here. Just a bit of colour across. I'm going to bring in my green again there. That's if I haven't lost it completely. Right, and then the orange. Need a new brush for the orange? I think I do. I'll use this one. It's not really light. But it's lighter than that. Let's keep going. For a really the paint's changing consistency slightly here. Oh yeah, I knew I'd need my red brush again. Let's soften some of these edges. I'll just go in with a really blue purpley colour. Just into here. Get a lot more black, and it will give us an edge. I'm not sure I need it there. What about in here? Just in there like that. Yeah, I think I'm nearly done. I go back to my blue and just darken that ever so slightly once more. And get a bit more colour in it this time. A bit more blue in there, just give that an edge. A little bit there. That'll be enough, I think. Okay. So yes, a few bright highlights. The shadows still aren't quite there. So I've got this violet and I've got this orange, and mixed together they kind of make the subtle shadow I'm going to need to go around and really finish off that ellipse around here. And even just on the underneath of that. Is that enough? Okay, I'm being overly fussy now. Okay, last bit, bright highlights. This is still a red brush, but let's pop a bit on there. Pop a bit on there. Pop a little flash in there. Now, a couple of specular highlights down there, at least hinted at. Flash there. Edge. Right here. This is barely touching the surface here. Just to get some thicker paint on. It sits. That going to do it? I think that'll probably do it. Oh. A little bit of that highlight on there. A little streak of that. A little bit more of that green. Bring some lights into those hard edges there. Yeah. There's the shadow of my plum stretching across. Reflection of the bowl. And that needs a bit more of a highlight around here, doesn't it? It also needs to be suitably fuzzy so I can't get distracted by edges or anything. Yeah, that works. Hey, well, I'm reasonably pleased with that. It kind of did what I wanted it to do. Kind of. Still not quite there with the reflected orange. What's there can act as a kind of a basis. Yeah, am I making too much of this? There is this sort of there's something to be said for that fiddling at the end, just to make sure everything balances up, makes sense. Okay, there's a few little things. So I want to do the stalk. Oi, sorry. I want to do the stalk on the plum. So that's the dark bit. This has got one too. I'll make that a bit more vertical just to make sense. And then where's my peachy orange colour? There we go. Peachy orange can give that a little bit more red. And that there as well. Yeah. Yes, any more fiddling than that and I'm going to ruin it. A few little things, like this bit of shadow here, that needs to be darker. The terminator in the shadow there. Also going to have a bit in here, a bit in here, a bit in here. Yeah, that makes a difference. It does sort of finish it off. Yeah, relatively pleased with that. We need to fiddle more with the orange. It's really subtle, this orange, so it is important to try and get it right. That's a bit too light. That's got a bit more colour in it now. Okay, done. I need to sign this. What should I sign it in? Obviously orange. Got a bit brown in just to darken it. It's not too violently orange. Da, 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 da. I hope that was fun to watch. And not too long either. I don't know how long that was tonight, but relatively quick. Hello, Dave, Haley. So I'm just going to do what I did last time. Just go to the ordinary camera. Without any filters on it. And we'll have a little wander in and have a little close-up look. Oh, about that. Right. So there's my subject matter, and here is the painting. I get right in there. Let's see. Plums. The ramekin was especially tricky, but it kind of works. It's a prop more than anything. I'm definitely going to pick a simpler bowl next time. I'm already seeing problems with it, but maybe I'll break a few of these edges and just unconfuse it. But I didn't go into any great detail with it. But if you look at the actual thing, you can see there's a lot going on there. So yeah, that was that, and I will look forward to seeing you all next time. Thank you for coming and joining in. And sending me lovely messages and all that kind of thing. And enjoy the warm weather. And I'll see you all next time. Cheerio.